So since our front office insider, Bobby Marks, is in studio, why don't we do a little on your marks, get set, go. I'm going to throw out a topic. Bobby's going to give us the latest on this team, and we're going to start with the Golden State Warriors. So last week, Steph Curry, he spoke with Mark Spears about his future in Golden State, saying, quote, if it is a situation where you're a bottom feeder and it's just because you want to stay there, I'd have a hard time with that. But I don't think that is going to be a reality. Okay, that is what Steph said. Bobby, have the Warriors done enough here for this season? What can they do to continue to maximize around Steph Curry?
Well, all eyes are going to be on Lauri Markkanen, who is renegotiation and extension eligible on August 6th. The tea leaves are pointing to him re-signing in Utah.
Okay.
They have not signed anybody this offseason. They're sitting on $37 million in cap space. So keep an eye on Markkanen in Utah. Now, what happens next? They're only $533,000 below that first apron. They cannot go out and add players here. Right. And they're still limited as far as what they can do with draft picks. They can trade a 2026, 28, and 30, maximum of 3 players. Malika, I hate to say this, but what you see is what you get right now with this Golden State roster. They added certainly Buddy Hield and Kyle Anderson, D'Anthony Melton. They've done enough to be in the conversation of getting out of that play-in group here, but they're not in where Dallas is, Minnesota. Talk about Phoenix. Certainly, they're not in that upper echelon right now.
All right, so that's sort of the top tier of the West, and you don't see Golden State there. I want to bring in Kendrick Perkins to see how he is reading these tea leaves, since you're saying that it looks like Lauri Markkanen is not going to be joining the Golden State Warriors, at least right now. The Warriors' win total, according to ESPN Bet, it's set at 43.5, Perk. Do you think that they will win more or fewer than the number of games? What do you think?
Well, they still have Draymond Green. They still have Steph Curry, right? Draymond Green, the heart and soul, the leader of their team. Steph Curry, their best player. And I like what I saw out of Jonathan Kuminga last season. I think he's going to take a serious leap from what he did last season, and that's talking a lot. Can he be an all-star caliber player? I believe so. I think they're going to get about 44 to 45 wins.
Okay.
I think they have too much pride, and I love what Pajivsky is bringing to the table, especially on the defensive side of things. We know he's going to come back better. At the end of the day, you still got Steph Curry. Now, Steve Kerr is going to have to coach his behind off. And I heard somebody sniggling and giggling, but I got his name right, Pajivsky.
I can't. It was me. Giggling. You know it, Perk. It was sorry.
Hello, Dub Nation. Today we have a massive update on the potential Lauri Markkanen trade. Folks, it looks like our hopes of landing Lauri Markkanen may be over. A new update is out, and we've been keeping you guys updated on every rumor, report, and quote related to this potential trade. This is the worst update we've gotten so far on the Lauri Markkanen trade situation. Tony Jones of The Athletic weighed in on Lauri's current situation, saying that he expects him to sign with the Utah Jazz on or after August 7th, and that Lauri does not want to be traded. He stated, I expect him to sign after August 6th, so there's no trade talk this year. I don't think he's going to sign on August 6th. We're almost 100% leaning toward him signing on August 7th. This is a blow to the heart of Warriors fans. We thought that trading Lauri Markkanen to the Golden State Warriors was a real possibility, something that the Utah Jazz would be open to considering and that Golden State would be committed to doing to improve Steph Curry and company's roster this season. But it seems that Lauri and the Utah Jazz have quelled all the trade rumors and talk that were circulating over the summer. The situation indicates that Lauri Markkanen will re-sign with the Utah Jazz by the end of the first week of August. Tony Jones also commented on the context of the situation and why Lauri is making this decision. He said that Lauri has really adapted to Utah, as has his family. Obviously, the Jazz could trade him between now and August 6th, and Lauri knows that, but he has formed a very close relationship with Jazz coach Will Hardy, who has found a way to unlock his potential. We can't argue with that. Lauri's career has blossomed with the Utah Jazz, with him surpassing the 20 points per game mark in each of the last 2 seasons for the first time in his career. He has truly become a focal point of offense in Utah. However, it seems like he is comfortable with mediocrity and making his money without really competing for an NBA championship. If we look at the numbers, Lauri's career record is 163 to 240, a winning percentage of around 40%. This means that on average he is losing 6 out of every 10 games. For the fans and the organization, this is not a pleasant experience. From Golden State's perspective, this is a huge blow. He was the only player on their radar who was semi-available this offseason, other than Paul George, with the whole situation involving the Clippers not wanting to make a deal with Golden State. Since then, the Warriors' focus has shifted to Lauri Markkanen, and it is unfortunate that it looks like that will not happen. The loss of Lauri Markkanen means that the Warriors will not be getting a player who could elevate their offense like he has done for the Utah Jazz in recent seasons. He's never been considered an elite rebounder, but he's been grabbing 8.5 rebounds per game, which would have been the best mark on the Warriors roster last season. He's also averaging 23 to 25 points per night with incredible efficiency. If we're talking about a prototypical player to pair with Steph Curry, Lauri Markkanen would be the ideal fit. He's a great floor spacer, drawing defenders from multiple areas of the floor. Last season, he shot 50% from 3, and 40% of those shots fell. His true shooting percentage is 63%, which is on par with some of Steph Curry's best seasons. It feels like Golden State is missing out on a huge opportunity, and it's unfortunate that they didn't put their best foot forward by making substantial offers to Lauri Markkanen. It doesn't look like the Warriors roster is going to improve before the season starts. Looking at Golden State's current roster, I did an analysis a few days ago, and in yesterday's video I said that if they don't make a deal like this, they're basically setting themselves up to play 50-50 basketball without really competing for the NBA title or the top spot in the Western Conference. That seemed like the direction they wanted to go with their free agency signings after losing Klay Thompson and bringing in key veterans like D'Anthony Melton, Buddy Hield, and Kyle Anderson, players who are helping them push for a championship. Now, with all of those players, and with the young talent like Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, and Brandon Podziemski, it just doesn't seem like there are enough minutes for all the talent that Golden State has acquired. It seemed like they really wanted to make a big deal, ship out some assets, and bring in a big name to tighten up that rotation and make them a real contender in the West. I am very disappointed with this whole situation and how it has played out. My level of optimism for a Lauri Markkanen trade is very low at this point. But I want to hear from you guys. Are you still hopeful? Do you think a Lauri Markkanen deal with Golden State could still happen? How optimistic are you for this trade at this point? Leave your comments and thoughts below. Next up, we have some last-ditch attempts to trade Lauri Markkanen. We have 3 trade ideas to discuss. Let's get to the last-ditch hopes for a Lauri Markkanen trade. We have 3 hot ideas for you guys. Before we get to the proposals, let's get some context on what's going on, the reports that have come out, and where things stand with the potential Lauri Markkanen trade. The Warriors and Jazz have been in discussions, and Golden State has made an offer centered around Moses Moody and a bunch of draft picks. Danny Ainge responded in a non-serious manner, saying he wanted Moody, Trace Jackson-Davis, Jonathan Kuminga, and Brandon Podziemski, basically Golden State's entire young roster. The Jazz want Brandon Podziemski as the top young player in the trade, but Golden State has refused to include him in any offer so far. If they really want Lauri Markkanen, they will likely have to give up one of those 2 players to make the deal happen. The first trade proposal is as follows: Golden State would receive Lauri Markkanen and an $8 million trade exception. In return, they would send Kevin Looney a $2 million trade exception for Santos, Moses Moody, Kevin Huerter, who is returning from injury, Colby Jones, and 3 first-round picks, a first-round pick and a second-round pick. The Kings would receive Jonathan Kuminga. This proposal allows Utah to begin a full rebuilding process with an eye toward the 2025 draft. The second idea is even more interesting. A trade in which the Warriors would receive Lauri Markkanen and Jakob Poeltl from the Toronto Raptors, solving their entire frontcourt in one fell swoop. The Jazz would receive Brandon Podziemski, Kevin Looney, Chris Boucher, Gary Payton II, 2 first-round picks, and a first-round swap. The Raptors would receive Andrew Wiggins, Moses Moody, and 2 second-round picks. Despite losing Brandon Podziemski, the Warriors would solidify their frontcourt and solve Wiggins' contract issue, allowing Jonathan Kuminga to fully develop. If all else fails, the third proposal is a direct last-ditch effort, Lauri Markkanen to the Warriors in exchange for Brandon Podziemski, Andrew Wiggins, for first-round picks and 2 second-round picks. This is the most substantial offer Golden State can make. Despite the resistance, this last move may be enough to convince the Utah Jazz. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these trades do you think would be the best? If you prefer the first, type trade 1. If you think the second is the best, type trade 2. And if you think the third is the most interesting, type trade 3. After all, we know it's time for the Warriors to consider a risky move. For years, the Warriors have played conservatively, re-signing their veteran stars while spending draft picks on young prospects. That was the two-timeline strategy championed by owner Joe Lacob. While it brought them victory in the 2022 NBA Finals, it proved inadequate to sustain their dynasty. The upcoming offseason looms as a critical moment for the Golden State Warriors, who are poised to reshape the trajectory of the franchise. Will they commit to one last championship run or opt for a financial restructuring? Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the front office face a daunting array of choices, leaving fans eager to learn what the team's next moves will be. The anticipation surrounding Golden State's future is intensifying. Before we wrap up, be sure to subscribe to the channel. After all, as we said before, we're producing Warriors videos almost every day. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow on Gold-Blooded News. In conclusion, the future looks uncertain for the Golden State Warriors. With the possibility of losing and adding players to the team and with the various trade options available, the Warriors are well positioned to continue to be a force to be reckoned with in the NBA. Stay tuned for more updates on the Warriors and remember to support by leaving your opinion in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications to know when I send new news. Thanks for following Gold-Blooded News. Cheers, and until next time.
We're gold-blooded!
Go Dubs!